Yeah, but my dad got out of copping and then became a food broker, which we're like, come on, that's
What?
CIA, right?
Yes.
And he's like, no, I really am a middleman for jars of jam.
He works for Meghan Markle.
My
Really
dad-
tiny jams, harvestable jam made from the oils of Montecito.
Well, what's brilliant about what she's doing is she knows people want to spend money, and spending money makes them feel like they're getting something that's better, even though it might not necessarily be true. You can tell when you watch the show, she thinks just we're all animals, and we're all just kind of pigs in the mud, and that she's helping us with jam and honey.
I think Harry's a fucking twat. Like, my life was so hard. Everybody's fucking life is hard.
Yeah,
you were
true.
the prince of a goddamn country who dressed up as a fucking Nazi, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope?
Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
You know when a joke is so effortless, so natural, that it just falls out of someone's mouth and instantly becomes iconic? That's exactly what happened when Conan O'Brien casually, literally without even trying, obliterated Meghan Markle's jam brand. I mean, Meghan is out here promoting this whole American Riviera orchard fantasy like she's the next Martha Stewart, and Conan just dropped one single sentence that burned the entire brand to ashes. And the wild part? That wasn't even the biggest hit he aimed at her. Oh no, he went way deeper. He dragged Meghan and Harry all the way back to their Oprah era, and let me tell you, those jokes were not gentle, they weren't cute. They weren't something Meghan's PR team could spin into victimhood, spin into bullying, spin into racism.
Decided to re-air all the same advertisements that they had aired here in America, but they adjusted the ads slightly for British audiences. I thought that was strange. Take a look.
Ancestry.com for the British royal family.
None of that. These jokes hit hard. And honestly, what came next was even more embarrassing. Conan went beyond the interviews. He went after their Madame Tussauds wax figures. And when a late-night host dedicates an entire segment to your wax figures, you know things have gone off the rails. He didn't just mock them. He turned their wax versions into characters. Characters saying weird, creepy things. And I swear to you, that kind of mockery sticks to a public image like glue. Once a comedian paints you as ridiculous, people start seeing you that way automatically. But trust me, the creepy part was still coming. Because then Conan created an actual persona for one of the wax figures, and the whole thing flipped from comedy to what did I just watch? And just when you think it can't get weirder, yeah, that moment.
A loving home, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple lips. They are in a loving home, Conan, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple lips.
The what the moment that made everyone in the audience choke on their drinks. Once a comedian takes you to that zone, where they're not just mocking you but turning you into a running joke, it becomes part of your cultural identity. People associate you with the jokes, not your accomplishments. But then things took a sharp turn into a completely different direction. Because suddenly we're talking about the thing nobody ever wants to imagine. The line of succession and how fragile that reality actually is. One tragic accident, one freak incident, and Harry and Meghan are suddenly right back into royal importance. And it's chilling. That scenario, God forbid, sits in the back of everyone's mind. But before getting into all that, we need to talk about another layer of brutal commentary Meghan and Harry have been receiving.
Been handed the world and every major contract, you had podcasts, you have all of this, and you didn't deliver because you...
There's nothing to deliver.
Yeah, because you don't have it. And that's okay. And I think they do have a right to privacy, but that doesn't seem...
Because the Osbournes, yes, the Osbournes did not hold back. And when the Osbournes speak, they speak with their whole chest. That moment when Kelly Osbourne straight up called a prince a dotz on television, you know a reputation has fallen off a cliff. Harry isn't the respected spare anymore. He's become the punchline. And here's the painful part. He knows it. You can see it in his interviews, in his expressions. Kelly didn't lie though. Netflix didn't sabotage Harry and Meghan. Spotify didn't sabotage them. They were handed everything. Money, teams, production quality, the kind of support up-and-coming creators can only dream about. And somehow they still failed. Not because of conspiracies, but because they simply don't have anything interesting to say. And right when that harsh truth landed, Sharon Osbourne decided to jump in. And when Sharon speaks, whew.
But the thing she said about medieval times, her lunch with the Queen was like medieval times, which, as you know, is a Disney-type entertainment place for kids. And it's just so horribly disrespectful. And
everyone listens. She absolutely shredded Meghan's medieval times rant. Meghan made meeting the Queen sound like a scene from some oppressive ancient ritual. Sharon called it what it was. Dramatic exaggeration with zero respect. And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Sharon went even further, pointing out something body language experts have said forever. The constant hand-holding, the constant touching. It doesn't look like affection. It looks like performance, like they're trying to prove prove something no one asked them to prove. And Sharon calling out Harry of all people for doing the exact thing he watched destroy his parents' marriage. That hit brutally. Harry grew up watching what media exposure does to a family. He knows that world better than anyone. And yet here he is, monetizing every private detail, every feud, every wound. Except this time, he's not the victim. He's the one selling the story. And Sharon just said it plainly. If they're so in love, if they have such a beautiful life, why can't they just move on? Why can't they stop talking about the royals? Because the truth is, they can't. Their entire business depends on dragging the royal family back into the spotlight again and again. If the public stops caring about royal drama, Harry and Meghan lose their entire identity. They're not actors. They're not creators. They're not innovators. Their brand is the drama. And then Sharon said the part that made everyone freeze for a second. The kids Meghan and Harry's children have no extended family, no cousins, no aunts, no uncles, no grandparents except Meghan's mom. Those kids are going to grow up, Google their parents, and realize an entire family exists that they've never met because of choices their parents made, and that right there, that's the real tragedy no one talks about. Sharon didn't stop there. She said something that honestly summed up everything people have been whispering behind closed doors. She said they look lost, truly lost. One minute they're making an animated cartoon, then suddenly they pivot to a documentary that's about themselves, then suddenly they're saving the world, then it's a podcast, then it's a lifestyle brand, then polo documentaries. It's like watching two people desperately try on identities like outfits, hoping one finally fits. But none of it does because all of these projects are built on the same foundation, victimhood. And after a while, people just get tired of hearing the same story. And then she said the one sentence everyone felt in their bones. It's going to end very, very badly, and I don't know why. It's like history repeating itself. Hearing that from Sharon, someone who has seen dozens of Hollywood couples melt down and implode from the inside out, it hits differently. This is someone who recognizes patterns. She's seen couples who depend on drama to stay relevant, and she's seen how ugly it always becomes. And honestly, she's right. When your entire brand is built around chaos, what happens when the chaos stops? She even admitted she never liked them sharing private royal family stories, and she's right. It's always been one-sided. Harry and Meghan get to speak freely, make whatever claims they want, and the royals can't say a single word back without breaking protocol. It's like punching someone who's not allowed to defend themselves. And people are catching on. The whole tell-all lifestyle might pay the bills in Montecito, but it also makes you look petty. And when Sharon said, "Don't bring it to the public, nobody wants to know about it," I swear millions of people nodded. Because truly, who broadcasts their family drama to the entire world? Who sells their personal grievances as content? Especially when the family you're talking about can't correct you. Then Sharon brought up her father, and that changed the whole tone. She talked about how her father actually betrayed her, using her, manipulating her finances, putting her in deep trouble. She had real trauma, and even after all of that, when he got sick with Alzheimer's, she went back. She took care of him because he was her father. Comparing that to Meghan? It's harsh, but it's real. Meghan's father sold some photos and gave a few interviews. Embarrassing? Yes. Unforgivable? No. But for Meghan, that was enough to cut him off entirely. To never let him meet his grandchildren. The proportionality is insane, and people are starting to say it out loud. And then, as if the Osbournes weren't enough, the Golden Globes happened. Joe Coy roasted them on one of the biggest stages in Hollywood. The joke about Harry and Meghan getting paid millions for doing absolutely nothing, people screamed. Because it wasn't even a joke at that point, it was just facts with a punchline. And the moment Joe Coy made that joke, you could feel the room shift. It was like Hollywood collectively decided, yeah, we're done pretending. Then Family Guy jumped in. And when a show like Family Guy turns you into a gag, it means you're no longer seen as serious public figures. Your cultural punchlines, animated satire has no mercy. It strips away the PR polish and exposes the raw truth. And in this case, the truth is that Harry and Meghan have become influencers with royal titles. They can talk about authenticity and privacy all day long, but when you joke about $250,000 sponsored Instagram posts, everybody laughs because everybody knows it's possible. Bill Maher went even deeper. He basically said they want it both ways. The sympathy and the spotlight, the victims and the celebrities, the privacy and the interviews. And he wasn't wrong. The contradiction has become performance art. They complain about attention while writing books about the exact attention they hate, and when Bill Maher quoted the Queen, "Never complain, never explain," and it was game over. That one line completely exposes the generational divide. The Queen represented duty, silence, and dignity. Harry and Meghan represent fragility, explanations, and monetized feelings. It's two totally different worlds colliding. Even John Oliver, who almost never takes sides, said they'll never change. Not because they won't, but because they can't. That's brutal. That's not criticism. That's a personality analysis. And then Spitting Image added their take, mocking them as a normal couple living near Oprah and far from the paparazzi, but not too far. They nailed it. Every move looks strategic, close enough for relevance, but far enough to pretend they're escaping it. But none of that compares to what came next. The one thing that stopped everyone cold. One comedian brought up the scenario no one wants to think about. The thing that transforms all these jokes into something terrifying. What happens if Charles dies and something tragic, God forbid, happens to William, Kate, and the kids? Suddenly Harry is back in line, and that's where everything changes. Jimmy Carr put it out there plainly, and the audience went silent. Because for the first time, the jokes weren't just jokes, they had consequences. Real, royal, constitutional consequences. The moment Jimmy Carr said their one light aircraft crash away, the whole conversation stopped feeling like comedy and suddenly turned into something darker. Something nobody wanted to consider, but everybody understood immediately. Because that isn't exaggeration, that's reality. Charles is old, the Queen is gone. William, Kate, and their children are the entire buffer standing between stability and a full-blown global meltdown. If something tragic happened, Harry, the man who traded royal duty for Hollywood chaos, becomes the next potential king, and Meghan, she'd be Queen Consort. Let that sink in. All those jokes, all that mockery. It suddenly stops being entertainment. It becomes a warning, because when you remember the Oprah interview, the constant public feuds, the lawsuits, the documentaries, the Spotify disaster, the Netflix drama, the lifestyle brand attempts, the family estrangement, the endless victim narrative, imagining those two representing the monarchy becomes genuinely terrifying. And the comedians know it. That's why they're going so hard. Because these aren't just two celebrities acting messy in California. They're still royals, still in succession, still tied to a 1,000-year-old institution whether they like it or not. And that's why none of this is just funny anymore. So what do you think? Are the comedians being too harsh, or are they finally saying what everyone else has been too scared to admit? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for even more royal drama. Because with Harry and Meghan, the drama never ends.